Alright, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy True Inferno. Today's date is Wednesday, March the 27th. So today is actually my PvP tournament for the Tempest Cup. So yes, we can finally get it out the way. Everybody checking in right now. There's supposedly 12 competitors who are interested in doing this, but I only see 11. So we about to get this going right here, right now. So yeah, let's get to it. Alright, so we got the first match of the tournament for me against Charizard, and I'm looking at his scry here, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, he got a lot of Pokemon that are weak against Charizard, so Charizard would be in there. I also see some that would be weak against Ice, so my Stilo would be in there. And yeah, we got the Altaria against my Celio. I pronounce the joint. So yeah, this is a very interesting match because his Dragon Quick Attack doing damage against my Celio, but he was unaware of that Aurora Beam doing that damage against it. So he bring out the Tropius, and I'm using Body Slam on it. So again, I got the Ice Quick Attack move was doing some damage against his Tropius, so I was able to, you know, sit it out there, let it die out. Then I bring in the Altaria, which was doing a lot of damage on his Pokemon. So forcing him to switch, and then I got the switch, bringing out the Charizard. So yeah, I'm sitting really pretty in this first match right here without question. Obviously, I'm going with the Blast Burn. He probably gonna use one of his shields, and no, he does not use one of his shields. And he brought out his Tropius, which is weak against my Charizard. And of course, I use my shield, so I'm gonna use Dragon Claw to force him to use his last shield, and he does. And then I'll just finish him off right there. So I won the first match of this round right here. Liking my chances there. Now we get to the second match, and I wanted to switch it up a bit, so I brought my Altaria out first, and I kept my Tropius out of this match actually. So yeah, here we go. And yeah, the roles are reversed. It's my Dragon type against his Ice type. So I kept mine out there because that Sandslash, I felt like wasn't doing a lot of damage. The Gyro Ball would do some damage. Then at this point I switched, brought out the Charizard, forcing him to switch, and he brought out his Altaria. But apparently he must have forgot that my Charizard rather no Dragon Claw. But he used the shield, so now he knows. So now I'm using Dragon Claw like crazy on his Altaria. And he got the victory for that one. And then I brought out the Celio. He used his Sky Attack, which does very little damage against my Celio, but then he got another Sky Attack off ready to go. And I blocked it this time because I was in a hole here. So now we both got no shield. So now I'm about to use my Aurora Beam. And he had no shield, so he couldn't do anything about it there. So he brought out the Sandslash. So I'm like, okay, I gotta use the Body Slam. But then he switched and brought his the Quagsire, which is a very nice move, I do say so myself. So now I'm just using Body Slam like crazy to try and do as much damage as I can. Before that happened, he brought out the Stone Edge, bam. So that was super effective. So then I got my Altaria, and I knocked out his Pokemon. Then he brought out the Sandslash, which means I was in trouble, especially it had that Gyro Ball ready to go, so I lost the second match there. So now we're going to the tiebreaker match right here in the first round. And at this point, I was like, yeah, we're gonna take out the Altaria, bring in the Tropius, but everything else remained the same. I'm gonna lead off with my Charizard, saying he had a bunch of Pokemon that are weak against my Charizard. So that was my plan right there, and my Tropius were going to be the last resort, you know, the closer for me to surprise them. And I got a message about raiding for the majority of Thursday, which is exactly what I did for the most part. So yeah, here we go. We finally get the match going, and he brought up the Quagsire, which is not a good matchup for my Charizard actually. And I built up the Dragon Claw, used it on him. He did not shield, which is a right play. I used the shield for me because of that Stone Edge. That Stone Edge was going to do some damage. So I tried to build up my Charizard, then switch out and brought out the Tropius. I shield again because that Stone Edge was going to do damage against my Tropius. He switched, brought out the Sandslash, which was doing damage against my Tropius. But I tried to get that Elite Blade out. Somehow I did not. He used the Gyro Ball, which left a little bit of room for me. I used Aerial Ace this time, and he gonna knock out my Tropius. So I was in a hole right here. So I brought out the Charizard, and he used Bulldoze, and I finished his Sandslash, Alolan Sandslash off. He brought out the Quagsire, had Dragon Claw ready to go, and he blocked it. And then I tried to switch. There we go. I got the switch off, which was not a good switch if I do say so myself, because that Stone Edge was super effective. But I stayed with it, and I got that Body Slam off rather. And bam, I managed to fit off his crash slide, and he had that left. So I'm like, okay, I gotta do as much damage as I can. I am in a good position here, and especially I got that Aurora Beam, and actually that finished it off. So I didn't need my Charizard, so I won round 1. But it was a close match though, if I do say so myself. Yeah. All right, so the next match is against Captain Crazy. So he's the guy who really organized this entire tournament. So I'm looking at his lineup, which is very interesting. It's mostly balanced, but I do see 2 Pokemon weak against my Charizard. I see 2 Pokemon that are weak against my Tropius, and there's some Pokemon that's weak against Ice types. But I went with this lineup right here: the Lantern, the Altaria, and the Tempest. I did not use the Charizard here. I probably should have, but I stayed up with the Lantern, and he brought out the Tropius, so I was in the hole right off the bat. And I instantly switched, and I brought out my Altaria, and he must not know about Altaria being one of, oh, he did, so he switched, my bad. But I used Sky Attack, and he switched at a good time. He should have shield. He shouldn't have wasted the shield right there. But he was still in a good position because obviously Ice is good against Dragon, and he had an Ice type. So obviously I was trying to survive. I couldn't switch, and basically I was in the hole here. But it was close. It was a close match actually. You know, surprisingly, it was a very close match, and I actually beat his Ice type Pokemon, his Celio. And he brought out his Altaria, which is a shiny, and I brought out my Lantern. So I was using Thunderbolt here. I was going for Thunderbolt without question, and he blocked it. So that's what I was going with here, and I have no shields at this point. So he used Dragon Pulse, and he almost knocked off my Lantern. I got off another Thunderbolt, and he had no shield, but it didn't do much damage there. So I was down 1 Pokemon and no shields. So I brought out the Tropius, which was weak against his Altaria. And it looks like I was going to lose this match right here. I got off the Leaf Blade before he could get out his Charge Attack. And he did get up the Charge Attack because his Pokemon had a little bit of health left. I have some health left. So I managed to finish off his Pokemon. So I'm ready to see what was his last one again. It was a Tropius that used Aerial Ace, and my Pokemon was not going to survive this matchup. I tried to get an Aerial Ace off right here, which I did. It done a lot of damage, but not enough to finish him off, and I lost the first match of the second round. So in this case, I'm like, yeah, now I'm bringing in the Charizard. I'm not rolling with the Tropius this time, and I'm still going to lead off with the Lantern, which is a bit of a risk because my opponent do have that Pokemon, the Tropius, but he let off with a Lantern instead. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to switch. No matter what, I'm not going to switch. So it's a battle of Thunderbolt against Thunderbolt because both Pokemon are weak against each other. Thunderbolt to some degree, as you saw there, it was not super effective, but it still done some damage. And I took his. We did not shield at all. So the second time, I got mine off first again, and he shielded that time. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna shield too. So I got the shield off, and I was thinking of switching, but I'm like, no, I'm not gonna switch. So I used a Thunderbolt, and I'm thinking he was going to shield again, but no, he did not shield. He probably should have shielded, and he brought out the Tropius, finished all my Pokemon instantly. So I brought out the Charizard, and wait for him to see what he going to do here. So he brought out his Charizard, and it was a battle of Charizards against Charizards. Mine was normal, his was shiny. He used his last shield. I was like, I'm going to save my shield. He used his Dragon Claw, done some damage, but not enough. So I had a Dragon Claw, and I was going to use it right here. Bam, there we go. So now it was about getting that Dragon Claw first, which I did, and it was close, as you could clearly see. Knocked out his Charizard. He brought out the Tropius, so I was in a good position. He finished off my Charizard, but then I got this thing right here with the Ice Quick Attack move and a shield, which I used right here against this Aerial Ace. And I had the Aurora Beam. Since he had no shield, this easily knocked off his Tropius, and I won the second match of round 2. So now we will go to another deciding match for me. And it's been like that throughout this entire tournament with the exception of round 3. And that's not a good thing for me. So I went with Altaria, Celio, and Charizard rather. So I led with the Altaria. And here we go. Altaria normal against the shiny form. So that's pretty crazy. So we were just going at it with each other. And I wanted to switch, which I did. Brought out the Celia. I did not shield here against his Dragon Pulse. And I built up my Altaria, so when I brought it back out, he's got 2 charge attack moves I could choose from. And he used his charge attack move, speaking of which. I shield again, and I got off my Body Slam. I needed something quick and forced him to use the shield. And then I was like, you know what? Let's use another Body Slam to confuse him. and he did not shield, and I finished off his Altaria. We both got one shield left, but he was down a Pokemon. He brought out his Celiac, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna ride with this. I'm a shield since I have a Body Slam ready to go, and I used it immediately right here after I shield, and boom, you know, did a little bit of damage. And then I switched out, brought out my Charizard, which was very useful here since he's ice and I'm fire. I took that move, and I had no shields at this point, so I used Blast Burn on it. Boom, knocked him out. So now he was 3-1 in my favor. He brought out the Tropius. So now I'm sitting pretty. I used the Dragon Claw because my Charizard was about to die or faint. He used his last shield actually, so I thought he ran out of shields, but he didn't. So I was like, which one I could roll with? Because either one of these could finish it off. Now remember, I had the Altaria that had Charge Attack move, so I used Aerial Ace on it, and the rest is history. So I won the second round of this match right here. Let's move on, folks. So here we go in the third round. So my opponent had a very interesting lineup. He had a bunch of Pokemon that was really, half his Pokemon was weak against my Charizard. He had no Tropius. Obviously, he had the Abomasnow as a substitute. And he had 2 Pokemon weak against my Tropius too, in the form of Monstomp and Lantern. And even the Altaria was weak as well. So I went with the Charizard, Tropius, and the Celiac. And I led with the Charizard. I probably shouldn't have done that. I probably should have put that in my closer. And this is one reason why he led with the Lantern. So I was in the hole. I stayed with the Charizard for a bit and used the Dragon Claw. He probably go to shield. And actually he did not shield. And then I was like, okay, let me switch. So I brought out the Tropius. He used Thunderbolt, which did some damage against my Tropius. Then he switched and brought out the Skarmory. And yeah, I was in trouble. I tried to get off the Aerial Ace, so I shield, I was close to it. And I got on my Aerial Ace, but little did I knew, Aerial Ace was not going to do anything against the Skarmory, so he didn't shield. So yeah, my Tropius goes down. So I'm like, okay, I'm bringing out my Charizard, and I shield since his Skarmory had a Sky Attack on him. So I was going for the Blast Bun, and which is exactly what I did. I probably should use the Dragon Claw. Oh, but he didn't shield, so I knocked out his Skarmory, which was very interesting. I was kind of confused with that. He brought out the Lantern again, and I tried to switch, and I couldn't. So I was in a hole. I had a Charge Attack that I could have used, but I couldn't. So I brought out the Celiac, and I was using Body Slam. I was going to try to Body Slam him to death. He used his last shield, and he probably had a Thunder on him, Thunderbolt rather, and it was super effective. So I was in trouble here. I was in trouble. I used that last Body Slam, and he used his last shield. So I didn't even see what his third Pokemon was. I don't remember what his third Pokemon was, if he brought it out early in Switch or something. But let's move on to the second match right here. So the second match, I was like, okay, let's lead with the Altaria first. But I still like the lineup that I had, but I shouldn't lead with the Charizard first. So I led off with the Altaria. He led off with the Skarmory. This was going to be an interesting matchup because I don't remember which one was weak against the other. So it looks pretty even. So I was going with Sky Attack, and like an idiot, Sky Attack was not useful against his Skarmory, although he shield, so it was like whatever. So I'm going to shield against his attack, which was also Sky Attack. And I was like, okay, let's build this up. And then he got his second attack, or Charge Attack off. So I was like, okay, let's switch. So I brought out the Charizard, and he switched and brought out the Lantern. And I used Dragon Claw here. And he took the damage. And I tried to get the Blast Burn off, and nope, he got his move off, which was Hydro Pump, not Thunderbolt. So my Charizard faint immediately. So I brought out the Tropius, and my Tropius finished off his Lantern, which was good. So, you know, things aren't bad. You know, I have no shields. He got one. We both were down one Pokemon. Then he brought out the Skarmory that had a Sky Attack, and it was super effective. And again, I had no shields. So I got out my Aerial Ace. Again, I probably should have used Leaf Blade. I keep forgetting about Aerial Ace and Skarmory. So I switched and brought up my Altaria. He used Sky Attack, with almost finished it off, but I got off a Sky Attack on his Skarmory. Not effective, but finished it off. Then he got the Abomasnow, and I got my Tropius with little health. So I lost. I actually lost a round, and it did not go to 3 rounds. So the fourth and final match was against Wolf for the win. And look at his lineup. He had a pretty balanced lineup, but I knew I had to use Charizard. He had 3 Pokemon weak against Charizard, and everything else though was very interesting. So I had a hard time trying to figure out what was best against this guy lineup. So I knew Charizard had to be in my lineup, and I went with Celiac and Tropius. So that's where I went here for match number 1. So wait for the game to start. Wait for the game to start. As you can see, I'm just sitting here chilling. Wait for the game to start. Something in my eye. All right, here we go. The game is now about to start. All right, so yeah, I'm looking pretty right now. So And he switched immediately, brought out the Magneton, so I switched, brought out the Charizard. So yeah, I was in a good position. I used the shield. I didn't know what he had, Magnet Bomb. So I was like, okay, let's use, well, I was going to use Blast Burn, but I finished off his Pokemon. And he brought out the Ice type. So I used our Blast Burn right here. And he shielded, obviously. But I had another charge attack. I was like, okay, let's use Dragon Claw before my Charizard faints. And he shielded that. So I'm like, okay, that's good. So we were both down to Pokemon, but I had one shield left. I probably should have brought out, no, I was good. Yeah, I was right here. So I used Body Slam right here. He used his Ice attack. I was not going to shield because Ice against Ice. So I was using Body Slam, but he got off another Avalanche. Again, I did not shield, but I finally got off the Body Slam right here. And boom, I knocked out his Pokemon, and he brought out the Tropius. So I was in a good position, even though he knocked out my Celiac. So it was Tropius against Tropius here. And I shielded against his. Now he told me that he only had Leap Blade. He did not get Aerial Ace, or didn't get enough to get another charge move, which would have been Aerial Ace. So, and I was in pretty with Aerial Ace. So yeah, it was just about me using Aerial Ace and knocking out his Tropius right here, which is exactly what happened for this first match. Now I will admit, after I won this first match, I did get a little bit arrogant, as something was like severely in my eye. But anywho, I got extremely, not extremely, but a little bit arrogant right here. And I substituted out my Altaria and my Celiac, wherever, whichever one I had, and brought in the Crack Side. I was like, I did not use this thing all tournament, so let me use it now. And I brought it in as my closer. So, let off with the Charizard. He let off with the Tropius. So I'm sitting pretty. He switched immediately. Brought out the Altaria. So I'm like, okay, I got Dragon Claw, so let's use it. Bam. So I used it. And then I switched and brought out the Crack Side. And I shield against his move, which was Sky Attack. And I was like, okay, I'm going to use Stone Edge on this thing, which is exactly what I did. And it was effective, but he shielded. And then I was like, you know what, whatever. Yeah, I shielded this one too. So I probably shouldn't have. And then I got off one more Stone Edge. And he shielded that as well. So we both had no shields. And then he switched at the last minute and brought out Tropius. So I switched and brought out my Tropius. So, and I probably should have done that. I probably should have went with the Charizard, but I wanted to save the Charizard here. And plus I knew, okay, I got Aerial Ace, he don't. So I was sitting pretty here, and he had no shield, so he can't do nothing to protect his Tropius. So that was my mindset going into this particular battle right here. So then I decided to switch and bring out the Charizard, and I finished it off. And I waited to see what he's gonna bring out. He brought out the Altaria, and he instantly got a quick attack off, which was Sky Attack, knocked out my Charizard. So I brought out my Tropius and used Leap Blade. I shouldn't have done that, but actually no, this was my last Pokemon, so I had no choice. And then right before I finished him off, he used off the Sky Attack, and yeah, he won the second match right there. So again, I got a little bit arrogant, and it cost me. So now we're going into the third match, and I'm like, okay, I'm taking out the Quagsire. I'm lead off with the Celiac, and my Charizard is last. So I'm not messing around here, because I need to win this match to stand a chance in the standings here. So here we go. Brought out my Celiac, he brought out the Tropius. So it was an interesting battle. His was effective against mine. I was effective against his. But I got out that Body Slam first. I probably should have tried and gone for the... And then I switched, actually. I switched, brought out my Tropius. And then he switched, brought out his Ice Pokemon. And I used Leaf Blade on it. So I think I'm in a hole. But then, you know, my Leaf Blade done that much damage. And actually, my Tropius won. But he had very little health left. And then he brought out his Altaria, which knocked it out. So I brought out my Celiac again. And I was going for the Aurora Beam. And he blocked it. So he got no shields. I got two shields. Two shields and one Pokemon left, which was Charizard. So I was like, okay, I used up my shield. I was going to use up my shield for every charge attack move that he did. And I was going to use Dragon Claw on his Altaria. Bam, knocked it out. Oh, but he had a little bit of health left. So I had to shield this off. Then I knocked out his Altaria. So now his third and last Pokemon was Tropius. So now I was sitting pretty. I got to survive the Leap Blade, which is what I did. Build up the Blast Bun. Had to finish him off right there. Bam, I did. It was a close battle, but I won. So I won 3 out of 4 rounds. Alright, so that's going to do it for another episode of Pokemon Go, and the tournament is over. And as you can see over there, those are the final standings. So yeah, your boy finished second, and it was close. And I only had 1 loss in the
The loss came from the guy who actually won the tournament, Kyle Styles, so congrats to him for winning this tournament. But the fact that I came in second 2 straight tournaments, or last one, you could say tied for first, but whatever. But it's still good, it's still good. So now with the Tempest Cup out the way, I can focus more towards the Kingdom Cup. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be focused on, you know, probably next week. And I know it's going to be fire involved, and you know, I like them fire types, so it's going to be very interesting. So I can wait for that, and that's all I got to say, man. So with that said, y'all know who this is. This is your boy, the new Jay Gatsby, aka the new Stephen A. Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah. After you subscribe to the channel, make sure you click the bell icon so you never miss a new video or a live stream ever again. Thanks, guys.
Living in a world where tomorrow's never promised. Last of a dying breed, rather find honest. Got me feeling like an onyx. My heart was getting hard till I looked to the sky. Say I'ma leave it to God and embark on this path. Journey of a lifetime. Everybody rhyme, but not a lot I co-sign. Define the mind's capability.